All right, welcome back to Protect You Radio. Got Marian sitting in this week. Woo!
Hello.
Outstanding. It's going to be another fun week. A lot of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, usually in the gun industry, you hear the saying, keep your powder dry. I'm going to start keeping my toilet paper dry. I might have to recycle the stuff and reuse it once or twice. Who knows? It's getting crazy.
Can't find it anywhere.
I'm a little bit further north of here, and everywhere ran out. If you'd have told me Walmart would run out of paper products, what in the heck? And then I searched pretty much every store down here as I came down tonight, and just I hit every little Costco, every little Circle K. I was like, oh, what in the heck? Nobody has it. I actually stopped at a Giant Eagle because I was doing a little free commerce with somebody with some ammo, and the Giant Eagle, didn't even think about it. I go in, and listen, I don't usually go to the bathroom in public, but there are times. So Giant Eagle was blessed with my presence. I shoot in and get ready to finish, and not to be gross, but there was no toilet paper. I was like, are you kidding me? You guys didn't even have the stuff in their stock. I'm like, what in the heck is going on? So it is what it is. So luckily they had those little, the little seat covers. I was like, those are flushable, right? Yep.
That's right.
Thank you very much. So I didn't
Usable.
have an extra sock. Yeah, they was who knew? So I might have to start going store to store, kind of covert, and snag everyone's seat liners. It has come to that. I'm stealing seat liners. What in the heck? I give up. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
So you went to a gun? Did you say a gun show or gun store?
We went to a gun store, the Armory in Bath, Saturday, and they were packed. And people were buying guns and ammo.
Everything, huh?
It was unbelievable.
Well, you know what? If you go to buy toilet paper at any of these stores, you might need a gun.
Really?
People might be trying to rob you for your toilet paper. It's getting stupid out there.
It is.
I don't get it.
Everybody's panicked.
Of all the things to be panicked about, I guess we've gotten so used to having the nice things in life. I'll call it.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome. This is. I saw a meme that said this is a dry run for socialism. So if you guys want to vote for Bernie or Crazy Uncle Joe, this is kind of a dry run for that, because this is what socialism and communism looks like. You're waiting in lines to get toilet paper, food, and every other little commodity you can think of. So yeah, that's exciting. So, anything else fun this week for you?
Not really.
So did the gun store have stuff in stock? Like they actually had ammo in stock?
They had a little ammo. It was flying off the shelves.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you there to purchase? Or you just going to kind of look around?
No, we just stopped to look around. We were over that way.
This is that's one thing I have. I don't want to say enjoyed, but I am a people watcher. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I, the first day that things started getting a little squirrely, we went into Walmart because we just needed milk and I think eggs or something. And that store is not that busy that time of day.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I'm like, so I just stopped and watched for a while, and people were like hushed tones. Like, should we get beans?
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think? Should we get some of those? And it's stuff they probably had never eaten in their life, but it was on the shelf.
Right.
And they're like, well, it was so. And some people were like angry. I mean, you could feel some tension and some apprehension of everyone in the store. So it was really weird to watch because I haven't seen. And I compared it to post 9/11, like the day of when I drove home. I stopped to grab some stuff at the store, and it was the same kind of feel. Except people that day there wasn't tension like anger tension.
Yeah.
This, I felt there was anger tension in some people.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's really, it was very interesting to watch. So like I said, I'm a people watcher. You put me in a amusement park, you put me in a mall, and I will sit for hours and watch people. And if they're wearing spandex, oh yeah, I am all over having fun people watching. I love to people watch. So yeah, outstanding. Were people buying ammo in bulk because they were going out of the store, or was it mostly guns, or both?
Both. They were buying whatever they could. It was really bizarre. Then we went to another gun store over where I live, and they were busy, and they're not usually busy.
A little smaller shop? A
smaller shop, and there was a couple in there that never even had a gun.
Oh.
So
this has really got people freaked out.
Yeah,
which is understandable. It does. If you watch the press conferences today, we went from, was it 2 weeks ago? Hey, don't worry about those medical masks. They're not going to help you.
Right.
To, it might have been the president's, it was the president's press conference because they broke into the governor's press conference with the presidents. And the one young lady was like, listen, if you've got those masks, bring them into any local emergency shelter or any emergency place because the doctors are going to need them. I was like, wait a minute, 2 weeks ago, you're telling me those don't help anything?
Right.
This week, the medical people need them.
Yeah.
So what changed? Where did this switch get flipped? So I wasn't understanding, and they wonder why people get worried and go, hey, we're not getting information. And they freak out and they buy up all the toilet paper. Well, look, I'm literally looking in the back room that says quilted. Is that toilet paper or is that paper towels? Oh, this could get ugly tonight. Who knows what might happen? I might sneak out and smuggle some toilet paper out. I'm just kidding, Rob, if you're listening. I'm not stealing the toilet paper. But if it disappeared, it was Marian. Sorry.
No, not me, Rob.
Throw her under the bus. Toilet paper stealer. That's. I'm the delicate flower, and Marian's the toilet paper stealer. So good. Anything else exciting? So you guys might cancel your meeting next week?
Yeah, I'm thinking we might cancel the meeting next week. Sue canceled the Stark meeting, and I think we'll probably cancel ours.
Well, and let me back up. If you guys are newer to the show, Marian runs Well Armed Woman down here, and they do monthly meetings. So.
Yeah, a lot of the people are older.
Really?
So
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's terrifying. And what do you usually get? 10, 20, 30 to a meeting? Something like that?
15 to 20.
15 to 20?
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Our life got turned upside down.
It did.
With 1-2 press conferences.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Candy yet, but I think that's my decision. I think she'll agree with me.
Let's hope. But yeah, because you're almost at a point. I mean, they haven't banned. I guess that would be. I mean, they're asking for people.
Well, they want you to go in and wipe
everything down.
Like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, my wife works out with a personal trainer, and they're talking. They shut that gym down today. I guess because all the gyms got added, and daycare centers and something else got added today.
Bowling alleys.
Of all that would have never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
But they do. They congregate. But yeah, my wife works out with a trainer, and the trainer and the gym owner are having to decide. And this kid's probably 20-something years old, and that's his only income.
Right.
And they agreed that he could bring people in one at a time, wipe everything down between customers, and go on with your business. And that's terrifying. That kid's like I said, 22, 23. I think he's living on his own. Like all these servers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
So with a flip of the switch, basically, the government can really do what they want to you.
I know I've got one lady that she had just sent in or redid her dues for this year, and now she's asking if she can get the money back. I'm not sure where she works, but...
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Something that's, $50 a year?
Yeah.
And that's affecting people.
Yeah.
It's got them terrified.
Yeah.
Did she end up losing a job? Was she like a...
It sounds like she's unemployed now.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
That is brutal. But yeah, think of all those servers, all those restaurants.
Right.
I'm going to try to hit, some of these stores are doing the drive-up and stuff, but is that really going to affect the servers?
No.
I mean, they're probably already out. You're probably just dealing with the people in the kitchen and stuff. Right. So I know people are pushing that, and I would love to help small businesses stay open doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, the servers and stuff are really kind of SOL. I was kind of shocked. Now, if anybody's looking, C4 Shooting Center up in Madison, up by me, they're actually hiring people to score trap and skeet events. So I was like, and it's $5 an hour, but I guess they tip a lot. I had no idea. Is that a trap and skeet thing? You tip the score?
I have no clue.
I
don't know that much about it.
I took a trap shooting class in college, and thank God there was nobody there to tip because none of us college kids had any money to tip anybody. But maybe that's a thing for trap and skeet. I had no idea. So if you're looking, you need a $5 an hour job and tips. If you're a server, give C4 a call and see what they got going on. But,
wow.
Yeah, who knew? So anyone else being affected by this craziness?
It's just like at work they're panicking. Like they're saying for us to stay home for 2 weeks, but we got to work from home and.
Yeah, not just stay home.
Yeah, you got to work. Yeah. So it's like trying to gather everything today and making sure things work.
Did they just announce it today?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. Hey, end of day, you're out and make sure it works.
Well, then I was this morning as they started,
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, and just the fact that the governor went on air today and postponed elections.
Yes.
That is
I did hear that.
Baffling to me.
I know.
Listen, I know he wants to postpone, but if you're not somebody who's in those riskier categories, why can't I go vote tomorrow? And I totally get why they're doing this, and I totally understand the social distancing and all that fun stuff, but it freaks me out a little bit that with basically a snap of a finger,
Yep.
elections are gone.
Yep.
Okay, postpone. Everyone's getting on my case. John, it's just postponed.
It's postponed.
But what if this doesn't clear up by June? What if
Right.
it's June 2nd? Is that the date I think I
Yeah.
heard? This doesn't clear up by June 2nd, then what? Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Is anybody working on the alternative plan if June 2nd doesn't work out and we're all still falling out like flies?
Right.
Oh. So again, now I know he had to file this lawsuit because he can't make that decision on his own. But listen, do you want to be the guy down at the State House who goes, well, maybe you should, and then everyone dies from the election. So
Yeah.
I would not want to be in the government right now and
No.
making these type of decisions.
Really.
Can you imagine? Whew. No, I wouldn't even want to be a boss and telling people they got to go home and work. That's crazy talk. I don't know. So and I think part of the thing with the government making decisions and stuff like that, we're going to talk about some red flag laws and how quickly under a red flag law situation you can lose your Second Amendment rights. Oh.
Right.
Have you looked at this much, Marian? Do you with the red flag stuff?
I've looked at a little.
That's terrifying to me.
It is.
And if you're not familiar with red flag laws, it basically lets a police officer, and it's depending on the county and the state, either it could be a police officer, it could be anybody in your neighborhood, it could be a family member, is all they have to do is make a phone call and say, hey, we think this person shouldn't have guns, and they do. Oh, that's crazy.
Yep.
And again, this, like the social distancing, and I understand what they're trying to do. I understand red flag laws. And listen, I'm not against red flag laws. I think they need to be very careful.
They can be abused very easily.
Yeah, I mean, where do you see it being abused? Like in my head, I've got some scenarios. What do you think?
I can't think of one right now.
Put her on the spot. Take that. I was thinking I was going to get a break and be able to take a drink of water. But so one of the ones I could see really kind of getting kooky is maybe like an ex-spouse or just a spouse arguing with somebody. And listen, I've seen some knockdown drag. I grew up in a trailer park. I've seen some knockdown drag out fights between spouses. Not that it doesn't only happen in a trailer park. Forgive me, anyone who lives in a trailer park right now. I know, I'm not politically correct all the time. But
you know that.
Yeah. And I've seen some spouses who literally, right at the spur of the moment, would just be like, hey, they were hurting me. You should take their guns away. And now you're in handcuffs and you're headed out the door. Mm-hmm. That's terrifying. And it's as simple as a phone call.
Yeah.
And the ones that I'm really concerned with are the states that don't necessarily have a due process behind it. So the police get that phone call, or a judge gets that phone call. The next thing that you know, the police are at your door and automatically take all your guns. Oh, really? No trial, no nothing,
Nope.
Not in front of a judge even for a couple hours. And again, I totally understand. When you look at who did the Parkland shooting? Was that Adam Lanza? Any of these nuts who end up shooting people, had somebody paid attention and caught that ahead of time? Yeah, that's where maybe a red flag type law or high risk restraining, not high risk order or whatever they're calling them, might have made some sense because we tend to see that there are signs and we let them go.
Yeah.
So if there's signs, let's use some kind of due process and get in there and get it. But it shouldn't be as simple as hey, that person I think has guns and they need to go away. Oh, that sucks. That's a little too easy. There needs to be some kind of process in there. And I think we're hearing this. So there was an incident in, was it Maryland?
Yeah.
So this guy, Duncan Lemp, Socrates, I'm guessing that's pronounced. I grew up on Bill and Ted's Great Adventures back in the 80s. This poor kid ends up getting killed. And, of course, I try to keep so John Correa is a really well-known instructor. I'm sure you probably know who he is, Marian. And he does all kinds of great videos. He does this. He calls it the 72-hour ban. So anytime there's an incident like this, he usually won't speak out on it for 72 hours. I think I'm pretty close to the 72 hours. I try to keep a similar rule now because I love that rule. Because there was a lot of, he was shot while he was sleeping. Mm-hmm. And there's no 100% proof of that yet. But the family says that, a bullet entered through the attorney actually is saying that a bullet entered through the window and they shot him from outside the window while he was sleeping. His pregnant girlfriend, from my understanding, was wounded also.
Yes.
There may have been a flashbang, or there might not have been a flashbang involved. So they're going to have to wait till the body cam comes out. The police are saying he confronted them, and that's why they shot him. So, again, 72-hour rule. There's just a lot of, not quite sure what went on with this. But again, it goes back to and a little bit of government overreach. Somebody made a phone call, was my understanding on this, and the police raided the house. No-knock warrant, sounds like, which to me, that alone, no-knock warrants are terrifying. And again, I get the concept. You want to catch people by surprise. But, man, when you kick down the wrong door, or you're kicking down the door of a guy who somebody made a phone call, and they're now kicking down the door, that's terrifying to me. So I'm going to kind of read from an article. So this comes from ammoland.com. It's a pretty good source. They do some pretty good stuff. So on Thursday at 4:30, a police special operations division tactical unit, that alone is a terrifying phrase to me.
Is.
And again, we need them, and they do a great job. But that's terrifying to have that come through your door. They executed a high-risk search warrant. So this is what they're calling red flags in some places. They're high-risk search warrants. And there's a couple other phrases that I'll get onto here shortly. But so they entered the house of the 21-year-old Duncan Lemp, and during that, Lemp was shot. So Potomac is a wealthy suburb of Washington, D.C. It's located on the Potomac River. And guys, listen, good things happen in bad things happen in good neighborhoods, good things happen in bad neighborhoods. So don't assume because you're in a good neighborhood that things like this don't happen. Sources close to the investigation said this was a no-knock raid. In this type of raid, police do not knock and instead break down the door to gain entry into the home. Again, if you are a dirtball, I understand why the door is being kicked, and they want to catch you with the element of surprise. It becomes a problem when, it's the wrong door and, there might be kids involved, and that gets terrifying. The thing is that they were using this element of surprise. It lessens the risk of the officer serving the warrant. Others believe that a no-knock raid increases the danger because of occupants could mistake the police for home invaders, and there have been shootouts. I mean, I've read article after article where people, the door gets kicked in the middle of the night, wrong door, and people are now in a gunfight with the police because they grab their shotgun by the bed. Terrifying. And it says in this article, there have been no-knock warrants served on the wrong house in the past that lead to police shooting innocent homeowners and homeowners shooting police. So in this one, the police received a complaint that Lemp had possession of firearms, even though the police say he was prohibited from owning the guns. So the catch here is nobody knows why he was prohibited from owning guns. It does not seem like, at least in the initial, that he has a criminal record. That's weird. So what was the reason? Who, if somebody called that in that he shouldn't have had a gun, and the police kicked the door because he shouldn't have had a gun, but there was no record. I don't know Maryland's gun laws. I need to research that a little bit more. Is there certain guns, and Marian, do you know? I'm not sure if they've got. I think you can own a gun in Maryland, right?
I think so.
They're concealed carry. I'm not sure with. So it says a search for criminal history record for Lemp only returned traffic tickets. I hope we're not shooting people over traffic tickets.
Really?
Because they're going to get my wife, or me. I don't get tickets. I just get caught, and they turn me loose. So it says Lemp was active on social media. He was an active 3%er and a libertarian who frequented Reddit and the infamous message board 4chan. So this worries me a little bit too. They are painting this kid as some gun nut. Now, mind you, 3%ers, there is nothing illegal about being a 3%er. If you want to be a 3%er, fine. And as all that is, 3%ers are people, I want to describe them properly. So in the Revolutionary War, there were only about 3% of people who got involved in the fighting. So that's where this term comes from. It's not a 1%er motorcycle thing. It's a 3%er gun thing. And people who believe that think that they're going to be the ones who will stand up to the tyrant government and take care of them if they step out of line. And libertarians are just people who are kind of even right of Republicans sometimes, and they want to be left alone. So this kid is probably, he's a little bit of a target because of his political beliefs, but listen, if you're in a shootout with the police just because your political beliefs, and I don't believe that this is why this was done, but the fact that they are now painting him as a militia member, as a Second Amendment supporter, as a 3%er, and he may have been all those things, but it seems like the media is going into overdrive to paint this kid as some nut job, and he may have been. Again, 72 hours, we'll find out as it rolls out. The body cam, I'm hoping, worked. and that will be the kind of the deciding factor. So from the article, friends described him as fiercely pro-American with deep respect for the U.S. Constitution. Okay, awesome. Police say that Lemp confronted them and forced an officer to open fire, and they killed him. Local law enforcement reps would not give any more details on the raid and how he confronted the officers. And, of course, the family is completely disputing the claims that they said he was asleep and that they shot through the window. So we'll see how this shakes out. And again, the police are saying he was prohibited from possessing firearms, and detectives were following up on a complaint from the public that Lemp, though prohibited, was in possession of firearms. So again, this goes back to somebody in the general public made a phone call, and the police kicked in this kid's door and killed him.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, maybe they didn't kick it in. Maybe they fired from the outside.
Yeah.
That I really have a hard time believing that. I don't know what would force a police officer or a SWAT team, or what do they call this one, a special operations division of tactical unit, to attack a house and start shooting from the outside. Those guys are so well trained. I don't believe that they would react that way. And I have trouble tracking this story from both sides. You got the right wing kind of gun people, who are, oh yeah, they killed him in his sleep from outside, and then you got the people on the other side who are just like, no, he confronted us, and and somewhere in between there's a truth. So, but again, this gets into red flag laws and the governors and the government being able to just quickly turn your world upside down. Right. No due process.
Like they are now.
Exactly. That's kind of what keyed me into this whole thing this week was, man, government, and listen, that's a hard job. I wouldn't want it. But they can really rock your world pretty quickly and turn it right upside down. And yeah, that's ugly. So let me get a little more into red flags if you're not familiar with them. And I pulled this one. Oh, I think this might have been from AmmoLand. No, I'm sorry. This is from United States Concealed Carry Association. They do a pretty good article on what red flag laws are. So red flag laws are state laws that are also known by various names. So if you've got a legislator or local politician trying to push things, look for terms like extreme risk protection order. That's a red flag law. We call them red flag laws. Yeah. It just basically says you've done something to raise a red flag. Right. Terrifying. It is. Kid, you wearing that shirt, armed with confidence. I like that. That's cool. And it says Glock on it. Yeah. So, are you a violent gun owner?
No.
You sure?
I'm sure.
What if I made a phone call and said you were?
I'd be very
pissed. Note to self: don't piss off Katie or Marian. She's got a shirt and she might shoot me. But that literally could happen.
Oh yeah.
So you wearing that shirt and you run into somebody on the street, and it's all it takes for them. And in this case, it didn't sound like there's due process under this, extreme risk protection order. Yeah. And I think that's what Maryland calls theirs, is extreme risk protection orders. Somebody makes that phone call and they're showing up. That's terrifying.
It is.
Another term you'll see, gun violence restraining order. What? Listen, I'm a little tired of gun violence, and I think. Why am I blanking on his name? Who was here last? Alex. Oh my God, sorry, Alex. Not that you're listening, but Alex was talking about you got to change the game here. Yep. The wording that people use, gun violence restraining order. It is not gun violence. I am sorry, it is human violence, and the tool happens to be the gun. So we need to flip that a little bit. I just knocked my mic out. Awesome. Risk warrants. That's another thing you might see. So if you see any of these kind of come up on a docket, or that some politician is trying to push through wording that's like that, that's terrifying. And those are the type of things, because you might have a shirt on, or because you were out in public expressing your opinion about guns. That might be a phone call. Your neighbor who supports Bernie, who decides that you shouldn't have a gun because they're scared of you and you've done nothing. That's just the gun, the inanimate object that they're terrified of, and they make a phone call. I've now got somebody kicking in my door and launching, stun grenades and gas grenades into my house, and just because I wore a shirt out in public. So, who knows? This kid could have been somebody who was being a knucklehead and threatened people. He was 21. Not that 21-year-olds are horrible human beings and they don't think sometimes. And I'll be the first one to tell you, at 21, I didn't always think. And people might be intimidated by that, but my opinion should not terrify you that much unless I'm in your driveway threatening to shoot you. Then call somebody. That's what the police are for, but not this risk order type stuff. It's terrifying.
Right.
So from the United States Concealed article, so these laws, they allow law enforcement, family members, and even medical professionals in some states to petition a court to temporarily remove firearms and ammunition from a person who is believed to be a present danger to himself or herself. So your doctor. Wow. So have you been to a doctor and they ask you the question? Have you gone through this?
Not this year, but last year they did.
They asked you.
Mm-hmm.
I ran into this with my kids, and our pediatrician asked. I was like, Dr. Ann, I love you, and you are one of my favorite human beings, but that is none of your business. And she started laughing. She goes, John, listen, I grew up, and, I think she was from Mississippi. She goes, I understand the culture. She goes, but, kids that age get into things. She goes, just tell me that you're keeping them locked up. I said, Ann, again, I love you, but it is none of your business. And again, I want you to lock your guns up. Absolutely, especially you got kids in the house. But you get a little overreaching here with government and medical professions, and this is a balance, you guys. Like I said, I am not against this. I just want due process and make sure people are not just getting shot and thrown in jail. Gosh, I got the virus. Holy cow. I got it from this bottle of water. I shouldn't have drank this water. I knew it. So the way this should work, from the United States Concealed Carry article, a judge rules, and if the order is signed, law enforcement confiscates the firearms and ammunition from the person. The person also loses any concealed carry permit he or she may have, and is prohibited from purchasing firearms for typically up to a year. Now, I've had some people come into my classes who were living in some pretty strange areas. And were having their houses broken into on a consistent basis. Yikes.
Yeah.
So now they're living someplace. They went out and got a gun because somebody tried to kill them or hurt them. And somebody makes a phone call. And what if it's your stalker?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Really?
What if you have a stalker and your stalker calls and they know you're armed and they get that gun taken away? Huh.
Good one.
That's terrifying to me. Because that's an easy, again, I hope there is due process. I hope the judges look at this closely. I hope this is not somebody made the call, so we have to take the gun for a year. Wow.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. And, to be without guns for a year, again, I've not had anyone try to kill me lately, thank goodness. But who knows what's going to happen in that year's time. And I know there are people who lived without guns their entire life, and nothing happened. I bet they have fire extinguishers. I bet they got a spare tire in their car.
That's right.
Drives me bonkers. A year. Can you imagine giving your guns up for a year?
No.
Would you lose your mind?
I wouldn't be a happy camper.
It's hard to teach well-armed woman classes without a gun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder if they take your red gun. I'm assuming you have a red gun, right? Or some kind of.
I actually have a purple gun.
See? I mean, how do you? Again, this goes back to the government makes a quick decision. They take all your guns away. What if you're a firearms instructor?
Right.
They've taken away your livelihood. That's terrifying. Sorry, I'm on that this week. It's so back to the article from the United States Concealed Carry Association. Why are red flag laws controversial? Well, they're controversial because in some states a person subject to the order has no knowledge of the petition or order. So that's not fun either.
No.
All of a sudden you got somebody banging on your door, and I guess if you're a criminal, you usually know why the police are coming. But if somebody called because you had a gun and you hadn't threatened anyone with it, and now the police are banging on your door and kicking it down, and no one has given you notice, not like, hey, come into the station,
right.
Let's discuss this, bring an attorney, let's have a talk. Every police show I watch, you at least get to come down to the station, right? Even if they take you to the station and then the attorney comes in, that's terrifying. So somebody made it as simple as a phone call. The police get the order from the judge because the judge says, I think you should go kick in their door. And they can go kick in your door. Holy cow. Next it'll be, we heard you had the virus, right? And this extreme protection order, we need to protect the rest of the community. So now we're going to kick in your door because we think you had a cough. Oh, little different story.
Yeah.
Right? So tell my anti-gun friends that this goes to a whole nother level. This isn't just about guns. This is about government overstepping or things being abused.
Right.
I'm going to drive down the street tonight. I'm going to look at all the Bernie signs. I'm calling in people with guns. They terrify me. Let's see how many of them get. See how much they like having this done to them. So yeah. So therefore, there's no ability to defend yourself or herself against the accusation prior to the property being confiscated, and you lose the rights to purchase or possess a firearm. I am not sure, but I think there's a thing that's called shall not be infringed or something. Second Amendment. I'm pretty sure this goes against the Second Amendment pretty heavily.
Yep.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It is nuts.
So a person who's not committed a crime has his or her guns confiscated, seemingly in violation of the Constitution due to the process. There's typically a full hearing within 21 days, at which the subject of the order may present his or her evidence or respond to any evidence presented. I feel a little bit better if states are doing that. And not all of them are doing it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But 21 days seems like a long time, too, to give up your Second Amendment right. I mean, I can't imagine what other right you would be asked to give up for 22 days. I'm thinking through. If somebody came to my door and said, I write newspaper articles, and they said, I can't write an article for 21 days at least. Is that different? I mean, what? So you put a writer out of business, right?
Right.
I mean, how many times have we screamed about, suppression of freedom of speech in this country? Yikes. Yeah, so I think if you tried to do that to any other right, people would freak out. But because it's guns, oh well. And the article even gets into, there's concern regarding the opportunity for those petitions to be abused or weaponized by former partners, family members. Some states like Rhode Island, they've actually created penalties for providing false evidence. That's nice because how many stories do you hear of people getting committed or being accused of a crime, and there's no repercussion?
No.
I know of several cases where people have been accused of things, and it absolutely was flat out false, and there was no repercussion to the person reporting. That is horrible. There needs to be some, what's the word I'm looking for? Deterrent to making false claims.
Yeah, there has to be.
I mean, how else do you? I mean, that is what the law is about. You need to be able to defend yourself, understand what you're defending yourself against. If people can just willy-nilly throw out accusations and have your door kicked in, terrifying. Sorry, I'm beating a dead horse. So states that have red flag laws. Now, this article is a little bit older, and there may be some that have come online, but at least the District of Columbia has it. Shocking. California, shocking. Colorado's just went into effect January 1st.
Yeah.
Now, Colorado is a place that I was shocked has gone that direction. I think it's a lot of people moving from California. I think people in Wyoming are suffering from this too. Connecticut, wow, so theirs goes all the way back to
1999.
Yeah, that's
wow.
I had no idea. And what's the state attorney general or two police officers have to file the complaint. So at least they're doing some backup. So it's not just one person, so it would be harder in Connecticut at least. I love that. That's a great idea. It has to be more than one person. Now, again, if you get a couple family members who are mad at mom and dad because they're old and they should have taken the car keys, different story. But yeah, at least you're putting some onus on some people to make some decisions. So Delaware, Florida, Hawaii's draconian with their gun laws anyways. Illinois, shocking. Indiana. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah,
Indiana's
that one is, yeah.
kind of a free state usually.
Right.
Maybe too many people moving out from Illinois. They need to build a wall, put up a barrier between them and Illinois. Maryland, and we're seeing that with Maryland. This poor kid just got shot.
Yep.
And I think that's what's kind of scary with Maryland. If I read this right, it's law enforcement, family, or household members, and back to the medical profession. Now, I know when you deal with your medical professionals, hopefully they're going to have a higher standard for what they look at. And if it's a mental health person, I would assume they have to report. So yeah, that's terrifying. Nevada goes into effect this year, or went into effect in January. That's kind of surprising too. Nevada tends to be a little more, I'm guessing the more casinos and stuff that they have, they're cracking down on stuff over there. And did I see that they closed the casinos? Did I hear that?
Yes. Wow. I don't know if it's all of them yet, but...
The bigger ones, huh?
Yeah.
Side note. Jersey, of course, New York. So in New York, at least, it's in addition to law enforcement and family or household members, school administrators or their designees may file a petition. Listen, there are teachers who did not like me when I was a kid, and I understand why. But if you're talking about school administrators, that's coming through the kids. Oh. So your first grader comes in and says, I'm scared of guns and my dad has guns. Oh, really? So does that mean I now end up with the police kicking in my door with one of these extreme risk protection orders? I need to do a little research. That one scares me a little bit. Just because my daughter, when she was, and maybe my wife will text me, I think she's 3 or 4. We pick her up from my grandfather's house, or her grandfather's house. And her story when she got in the car was, Papa hit me in the stomach and hit me with a hammer. Now, if you've ever met my father-in-law, that is probably one of the most genteel human beings. And I don't even know if he could pick up a hammer and swing it, quite frankly. So I'm a little perplexed at that point. And I was like, I called him out and started laughing. I was like, hey, what'd you hit my daughter with a hammer for? He's like, what? So it just goes to show you, kids make stuff up all the time.
Right.
You ever been around kids that kind of come up with some shenanigans?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. And again, kids can tell good stories and they get their facts straight. But at 3, 4, 5, 6, again, back into teenagers, think about how many teenagers don't get along with their moms or their parents in general. You know, I've watched a few female mom-daughter relationships through the teen years get pretty rocky. I could so see an angry teenager being like, hey, it's terrifying. What can you do? Oh, well. So Rhode Island has this. Vermont has it. Washington. So it's this. New York passed it in 2019. Includes an appeal process. Outstanding.
Yeah.
At least it's a prompt evidentiary hearing and provides a burden on the petitioner to meet a certain standard of evidence. That's great. So it sounds like this coming year there's at least 5 more states with bills under consideration. Ohio, last year? Year before?
I think it was last year.
So right after, when was the Dayton shooting? It was right after the Dayton shooting, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Ohio looked at this. I think so many people gave Uncle Mike DeWine a pushback that he was like, oh, okay, maybe I don't want to push this forward. He's still a politician. He likes his job, and he's not going to go against the crowd.
Well, I think it was a trade. Didn't somebody wanted something? What was it?
So somebody tried to tack something onto the bill, and
well, I think it was stand your ground. I could be wrong on that.
Oh,
and he wanted to tack this red flag onto that.
You're right. It was in the same.
Yes.
You're right. Yes, Marian, you are so right.
Yes.
And we didn't get stand your ground. But yeah, I'd forgotten about that. They were being pushed into the same bill, and luckily they broke it up. And again, stand your ground is one of those things we need to look at a little closer. I'm not 100% for stand your ground. I'm not against stand your ground. But that was a lot of packed into that bill between the stand your ground and these red flag laws. But yeah, you're right. They were both in there. And so he probably shot down stand your ground so that people would look at this a little closer. That makes sense. Yeah, that's just terrifying. What can you do? It is what it is. So the other thing that worries me about this a little bit is I don't know if anyone's familiar with the term swatting. Do you know this term at all, Marian?
No, I don't.
This comes a little bit out of the gaming community and online communities. So swatting literally means you have the SWAT team show up at somebody else's house. Oh. So it's red flag-ish, but it might be, you're online with some other gamer and you've made them angry. They now route a call to the local police department. Hey, at this address, I know somebody has 4 people in their basement and is about to execute them. Ergo, who do you think's showing up? SWAT? So that's where the term swatting comes from.
Wow.
This is terrifying to me that somebody from outside the community completely can roll up. The Urban Dictionary, I know, great source for for getting your information. Swatting is an internet prank / crime where someone finds your address either through your IP. Oh, your IP. So you're literally online. They can figure that out from your IP. Or because your name and location is known, then they call 911 anonymously and report a fake emergency. Yep, terrifying. There have been people killed like this. So now wrap up people who like to do things like swatting into a state that has red flag.
Yeah.
So I pulled some stories from different websites. This one's from CBS News, and this goes back to over a year ago. This goes back to January of 2018. So Wichita police officers believe they're responding to a hostage situation when 28-year-old Andrew Fitch was shot dead after police said he appeared to be reaching for a weapon. They did knock on the door, said Lisa Finch, Andrew's mother. My son opened it because he heard something. He screamed, and then they shot him. It was all a mistake started by a phony call to 911. I'm just pointing the gun at them, making sure they stay in the closet. My mom and my little brother, said the caller. So this was the phone call that came in. I'm just pointing the gun at them, making sure they stay in the closet. My mom and my little brother, said the caller. So he was pretending like he was holding his mom and little brother hostage. So the 911 caller said, "Is there any way you can put the gun up?" No, the caller said, and then he used that address for that kid. Now, mind you, they were 1,300 miles away when they made this phone call. So 25-year-old Tyler Barris was a person who did this and caused that death. Not sure what the reason was. So people are doing this. They want to see the police show up at these people's houses, and you'll see sometimes they'll do it while they're online so they can see the person's response.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
If you're doing this, you are a first-class a-hole. Knock it off. Sorry. I don't like to drop. That's insane. What is wrong with people? There are celebrities that have had this done to them. Rihanna, Justin Bieber. That's terrifying. And they're calling these in as bomb threats sometimes. Kim Kardashian's had it done. Sally Myers has had it done. Not that I care about them anymore, but that's terrifying. Again, a lot of times a person doesn't even know what happened. Wow. Oh, terrifying. So there's an article from Rolling Stone from January 5th of 2018. So there must have been a whole bunch going on back at that time because everyone was writing about it. So there's a person who is a serial swatter. They are known for this. So their Twitter handle is Swatistic. So they're doing this, and they're so well known for it that they actually have a handle that's Swatistic. That's terrifying. People have paid him to do this and carry it out for him. He says, "Bomb threats are more fun and cooler than SWATs, in my opinion. I should have just stuck to that," he said. "But I began making money doing some SWAT requests." So the reporter analyzed it in a statement to the Washington D. According to him, he's put his shingle out there as someone who can be hired to make these false reports. It seems like he got some kind of pleasure from doing it. Oh,
jeez.
Well, I got pleasure from possibly getting people killed at 25. Now, mind you, 16-year-old doing it. Listen, I made prank phone calls when I was 16.
Right.
But it was, is your nose running? Oh, you better catch it. Stupid, do you have Prince Edward in a can? You better let him out. Stupid stuff like that. For you to make a call to a police station and have the SWAT team show up or the bomb unit show up, you're nuts.
That is for sure.
I can't imagine being that angry to do that to somebody. I can't imagine for fun doing that. These are the type of people who are out buying toilet paper.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I'm living in a crazy upside down world that I don't understand. I think I just want toilet paper. It's that simple. My whole life boils down to toilet paper right now. I don't know that there's been any red flag type stuff here that I've seen. I wasn't able to find anything, so I don't know. Crazy. Sorry, my wife is texting me. I thought she was going to make fun of me for some of my stuff.